Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, I'm Ale, a certified astrocartographer, and today we're diving into a super fascinating topic, which is how your birth chart is basically a map of your life experiences. But here's where it gets even cooler. It can be enhanced through travel and relocation. Yes, that's right, where you are in the world can shift the energy of your chart. Let's get into how that works. In astrology, there are 4 key points in your birth chart that play a huge role in shaping who you are and how you experience life. We're talking about the Ascendant, the Descendant, the Midheaven, and the IC, or Iman Coeli. These points are super significant because they highlight areas like your outer personality, your career, your relationships, and even your emotional foundations. Today, we'll break each one down and talk about how they each show up in astrocartography, whether you're staying put or traveling the world. Alright, let's break this down one by one so you can understand how each of these points influence your life. So first up, we've got the Ascendant. It represents the point that was ascending on the eastern horizon at the moment of your birth. The Ascendant is all about your outer personality. It's how you show up in the world. It talks about your main motivation and also the first impression that you leave on others. The Ascendant shapes your identity, your physical appearance, and your overall demeanor. If you ever been told that you come off a certain way, it can be because of your Ascendant. It's basically the mask that you wear to the world before people get to know you. And this mask also colors the way that you see the world. As you travel and relocate, if the sign changes or if a planet comes to the Ascendant, it can shift your whole perspective. Now the Descendant is the point opposite to the Ascendant. So it's the point that was descending on the western horizon at the moment of your birth. And the Descendant is all about relationships, how you relate to other people, how you form partnerships. Whether it's romantic or business or close relationships, the Descendant will tell us about the energy that you bring into your interactions. It speaks to the balance between you and others, how you compromise, and sometimes where you might depend on others. Understanding the Descendant helps you figure out your connection style. So, who you're drawn to and what you seek in relationships. Then we have the Midheaven or MC. It's the highest point in the sky at the moment of your birth relative to the ecliptic. And this point is all about your role in society, your reputation, how you're seen out in the world, and your career. It's also linked to figures of authority in your life, your ambitions, and your big life goals. And a cool example of Midheaven line in astrocartography is Walt Disney. So he has a Neptune MC line right on top of Orlando, Florida, which is where he built his first theme park. And Neptune is a planet which is associated with vision and our dreams. The slogan of Disneyland is actually where dreams come true. So it's really fitting, right? Of course, this is just one way that the Midheaven can express itself. For Walt Disney, it was through the legacy that he left in the world. And finally, we have the Iman Coeli or IC, which is the point right opposite the Midheaven. This point is the context that was already here when you were born. So it's your family, your roots, your early childhood experiences, and your relationships to the past. It's your emotional foundations and your home life. The IC can reflect your parental influences and the environment in which you've grown up. So this can really shape your inner world, right? The IC is also a place that we go when we have to ground ourselves or to relax because it's the most hidden part of your chart. So it's who you are when no one's watching. Alright, so let's take a look at the axis that these points form. The Ascendant-Descendant axis is about self versus others. It's your relationship to yourself. It shows you the balance between your personal identity and your relationships. On the other hand, the Midheaven and IC axis is all about internal versus external. It's about how your upbringing and your roots influence your career ambitions and your public image, but also about the balance between work and family life. This axis also shows how your foundation supports or challenges your actions and your goals in the world. And an easy way to think about this axis is where I'm from and where I'm going. Now let's talk about angular planets, which are the planets close to one of these 4 key points in your chart: the Ascendant, the Descendant, the MC, and the IC. These angular planets they become a huge influence in your life. So, for example, if natally you have Venus on the Ascendant, you might be perceived as someone naturally charming, attractive to others. Whereas if you have Mars on the Midheaven, you might be super driven and ambitious in your career. And so imagine that if you have a planet in the one of these key points, it's like plugging them to the socket. So they become super powerful and impossible to ignore. And sometimes in your birth chart, you don't have any angular planets. And when you move or when you travel in your relocated chart, so the chart of your travel experience, one planet becomes angular because the chart will turn. So let's say that you move to a sun line. It might be a great opportunity to integrate self-confidence and to get more visibility. Of course, it will depend on how your sun is in your birth chart, because the aspects you have on your birth chart will also be intensified when you move to the sun line. And it reminds me of Gisele Bündchen, the supermodel that started her career in Tokyo, where she has a sun ascendant line, and that's where her career really took off and she started to get more and more visible. And the funny thing is, her family described her as being super generous when she was living there. She always came back to Brazil with plenty of gifts for her family, which is also a key aspect of sun. And you can apply this principle to your life. On my last video, I showed you how to generate your astrocartography map. It can be super useful whether you're planning a vacation, moving, or even just curious on how to tap into different planetary energies from home through remote activation. You can learn about the planet's archetype and ask yourself how you're dealing with this energy right now. And hopefully through this video you understood how in different angular points these planets can show up in different ways in your life in different areas. So to wrap things up, remember that these 4 cardinal points, Ascendant, Descendant, Midheaven, and IC, play major roles, and by exploring in your travels or relocation the relationship between these angles and the different planets, you can gain a deeper understanding of yourself. I encourage you to pull up your astrocartography map and see how it aligns with your travel plans or your life goals. And I think you might be surprised at what you find. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and ring that bell button to get more astrocartography insights. If you have questions or want to share your experience, drop a comment down below. I'd love to hear your stories. And if you're interested in an astrocartography reading, check the link in the description to know the details about how we can work together. Until next time, safe travels and happy mapping.